Hey everyone, welcome to the Trippi Coaching Podcast. I am Andrea Trippi, weight loss and confidence coach, along with Tommy Else, personal trainer. You know, you hear about gym etiquette, but what does that really entail? It's an unspoken code of conduct, and today we're going to speak about it.
The Trippi Coaching Podcast is sponsored by Hairborne Salon, welcoming its newest member, Crystal. With 15 years of experience, enthusiasm, and leadership in the men's grooming industry, Crystal joins the Hairborne family with the ability to provide their gentlemen with all of the services they need, from cuts, color, beard details, and even waxing. Crystal has trained others in the field for 10 years and works to grow her knowledge and expertise with continued studies to learn the newest and latest products, trends, and skills. She uses her passion and talents for fine arts and creative arts to fuel her hair artistry. Together, you and Crystal will not only create your individual style, but she will teach you how to maintain it so you can walk with a renewed confidence every day. Be sure to mention that you heard about Crystal and Hairborne Salon from the Trippi Coaching Podcast to receive 10% off your next service. And you can book your appointment at hairbornesalon.com.
What's up, Tommy?
Andrea, how are you today?
Doing good. A little slower than normal.
Yeah, I think we both had some late nights.
We did.
It was WWE SummerSlam yesterday, and I was hosting as usual. It's one of the bigger events in pro wrestling during the year for those who are not privy to it. So I usually host, make a crock pot of chili and hot dogs. I got a hot dog roller, and it's
How many hot dogs did we eat last night?
we don't need to talk about that. We don't need to talk about that. But so a little bit of a food hangover, enough to cause that.
Yeah,
we'll say.
yeah.
But it was a good time. So, but
That's great. Did you get a workout in?
today,
Yeah, not yet. Huh?
not yet. I do plan. I honestly do plan this afternoon. I'm going to do legs.
You always get something in.
Yeah, I just feel gross if I don't. I
Yeah.
feel so gross right now from
Right.
eating crap last night. So I'm definitely, I mean, you can hear it in my voice.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just...
You'll use those calories and those carbs
Yeah.
to...
No,
crank legs
I got to
and-
do something or I'm just, I won't feel right.
It's funny, though, how the food really does affect you when
It's
you
huge.
eat clean. Yeah.
Yeah.
And lack of sleep,
Yeah.
So I got to the gym today, but I'm tired. And I have a funny story about a guy who came up to me. So I'm bench pressing, right, on the incline bench, pushing maybe 155. I mean, which is, for me, heavy. It's like, I probably could get 3-4 reps in, and I was building up to it. I was working hard, but I'm tired, and I had music in my ears motivating me, and this guy comes up to me in middle of my set, and he leans, they have that step up on the bench press where you can kind of like spot somebody.
Right.
He hops up there in the middle of my set, and I see him looking down at me, and he's like, "Come on, you can do it. Let's go. And he's giving me like this big grin and these thumbs up. And I kind of was shocked at first. I just looked up at him because he scared the crap out of me,
Yeah,
right? I mean, I just
yeah.
like looked at him. And
Well,
I
you
said,
weren't expecting that.
yeah, and I was afraid I was going to drop the weight. But I remembered this guy's face, and I didn't get mad because a couple weeks prior, I saw him do something that I haven't seen in a while. And there was one guy there that he didn't know go down to do, he did a set, and then he dropped down to do some push-ups. The guy was kind of struggling through the push-up.
Mm-hmm.
He was maybe cranking 20 out, but he was struggling. Well, this guy that scared me gets on the floor and goes, "Come on, let's go." And he starts cranking out these push-ups, and he's doing all these different hand positions, but the guy kept going, and he was mentally pushed. He was, really charged up. They got done. They gave each other a high five, a fist pump.
Yeah,
and
so,
I thought
I mean,
that was the coolest thing.
He's well-meaning and obviously trying to help and motivate the
There
guy and
is,
stuff
yeah.
and everything.
But there's a time and a place.
Right, and you
Yeah.
could have been scared and dropped the weight on you or something like that,
Right. Right. So So today, with that, I thought that we would talk about gym etiquette.
Yes. This is something that I could probably sit and talk about all afternoon, as I've spent, I don't even know how many thousands of hours in the gym. So let's talk about some of the basics of gym etiquette, and then we'll kind of dance around some of the other things as they come up. Number one, re-rack your weights first
Yeah.
of all. And when I say that, I mean, if you are benching, you're doing a leg press. When you're done on the leg press, if you've been, I don't care if you did 20 pounds or you did 400 pounds, you take all the weight off of the actual machine and
Strip it down.
you put it down on the rack, because the next person who comes to that machine might not be strong enough to take all that weight off of there. They may not be strong enough to lift a 45-pound plate, you know?
I see a lot of that with the leg press. They'll even if they have 5 or 6 plates on there, they'll strip it down to one on each side, assuming that the person should be able to do that weight.
Right. But you can't.
But you can't assume that. They might not even be able to. They might have a shoulder injury where they can't even pull it off and put it back on. So please,
Yeah.
re-whack.
Please
Re-whack.
re-rack.
Make sure you re-whack.
Yes. Yeah, so that's what re-racking your weights is. And then also, if you're using dumbbells, in between your sets, put the dumbbells back in case someone else needs to use them during the minute or two that you're taking for your rest period. There's only so many dumbbells to go around in a gym. Usually there's maybe 2, maybe 3 sets of a specific weight, but that's it for a whole gym. So if you're using the 20s, put the 20s back during your rest period, because someone else may need to use it during that time.
And put them back in the slotted spot for the 20s.
Yes, yeah.
Please do
and
that.
that's another thing. Yeah, people will take the 20s and then, they go and they put them in there's the 50s, or the slot for the 50s are open.
Or they'll spread them out between, like, where their hands are. They'll just put them down where their hands are, and there could be a couple 15s in
Right.
the middle, or,
It just, if it's not labeled, which a lot of the time it is, but if it's not, it just goes in numerical order. 5, 10, 15, 20. It's not rocket science.
What if there's those half weights? 27 and a half.
Well, if you can't do the math, then don't
No,
use
I
the
know.
weights.
Very, very, very true. With that is crossing in front of people. Crossing in front of people. So when you go to put your weight back, be mindful. There's people out there looking at themselves, getting motivated, doing a set, lifting heavy. Really try your best not to cross in front of them. Wait until their set is done.
Well, and even that aside, I mean, I know the whole reason you should be looking in the mirror is to be checking your form and making sure that you're doing it properly. And if you get in the middle of, if they're focused on what they're doing and they're watching their form, and you just go, passing by in front of them and get between them and the mirror, and that could be in a squat rack, that could be with dumbbells, whatever, just that space between the person and the mirror is sacred until they put that weight down. Let's say that there's a set of dumbbells in front of where they're standing that you want to get at. Let them finish their set. Don't duck in front of them or jump in front of them to grab the dumbbells. Let them finish their set. If it means that your rest period goes an extra 30 seconds, then so be it. Just let them finish, then go get your dumbbells.
I don't see a lot of that anymore.
I spent 20-some years in a gym, and this is the stuff that I'm used to seeing and stuff. I've had the luxury of the last couple of years of not having to be at an actual gym because I've got my own now. So I don't have there's no one in my way. But that's, it's something that, has been an issue in the past. Another thing is that there's people who like doing drop sets with dumbbells, and so they might need to have a set of 45s, 35s, and 25s to do it. But what they do is they take all of those off of the rack and then put them all around their bench so that they can do their set of whatever they're doing, right? But now they've taken 3 sets of dumbbells away from everybody else in the gym. So it's you're hogging the dumbbells.
During the prime time, usually.
Right. Now, drop sets are great. But you have to read the room. If the gym is full, if this is like Saturday morning or something like that and the gym is full, you can't go taking 3 sets of weights to yourself. There's no way. It's just, so if you happen to be there at like 5 in the morning and nobody's there for some reason, then that's when you get to do that sort of stuff. And you can superset between like 2 different machines
right,
or things
right,
like that. But you can't. Yeah, it drives me nuts to see people who just like are sitting there on their phone, and then there's like 6 dumbbells sitting around them.
Or
That
they have friends that they do a big circuit with, where they set up in the middle of the floor and they have all these steps and balls and bands and all this stuff. And sometimes it's during the prime time. If I'm not saying don't do that. I'm not holding anybody back from their fitness and stuff, but you have to be mindful when
yeah,
you have those types of
a
activities.
lot of it's just common courtesy.
No, it is, yeah.
But you should always be aware of your surroundings. It's easy, if you're like me and when I'm at the gym, I'm in my headphones, I'm focused on what I'm doing, but you got to still look around, make sure that you're not in anybody's way. You don't want to accidentally get hit by something or walk into something. Don't be walking around looking at your phone,
Right.
because you could hurt someone else, you could hurt yourself.
There's a guy at the gym that maybe in his late 30s. He walks around looking at his phone the whole time. And I'm so curious as to what he's watching. He's either following a trainer off of his phone or he's day trading or something. But I finally got a glimpse of his phone
Yeah.
and he was watching episodes of The Office the whole entire time, every day. Every day it's the same thing. He's watching The Office. I thought that was interesting.
I mean, if you're on like the treadmill or something, I mean,
No, he's doing weights.
that's one thing. I mean, I watch plenty of stuff if I'm on an elliptical or a treadmill or something. But if you're free roaming around the gym, you're gonna get hurt. You're gonna hurt someone else. You're gonna trip over yourself, and it's not worth
Right. That's so funny.
the
Whatever
episode.
motivates you, though,
I mean, I get it, but you also if you're gonna be in a gym with other people,
you got to be very mindful.
right?
The other thing you have to be mindful of is when to come up to people, to go up to people to talk to them. Sometimes you have to read their energy. If they have their earphones on and they have their hood up and they're kind of just sweating and in the zone,
That's usually a signal like I want to be
stay
left
away.
alone.
Yeah,
And
stay away.
yeah, I mean, and for me when I'm working out and I'm not all covered up or anything, but I'm in the same mindset of like I'm deep in my thoughts. That's when I have my time to really,
Reflect and
think, and that's my meditation time. So, not that people can't come up and talk to me, but it's you just got to read the person and see if they seem like someone you would want to because the only reason anyone ever really would come up was
if they knew you.
well, I mean, they'd ask a question usually. They might see me doing something and ask, like, why do I do it that way? Or, can I show them something or whatever the case.
Which is great.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm happy
Which
to
is
do
great.
it. It's just one of those things where, make sure the person's like in between sets or something like that. And
Keep your conversation to a minimum because you are there to
Right.
work out,
yeah.
you know.
So one of the other things is wipe down your equipment. Okay.
Very big post-COVID.
Yes.
That came up.
It's always been something that should be done, but now more than ever, it's gotten at least one thing with COVID is it did get people to start doing this more, but it's important that after you have been on anything that your body's touching, and this is dumbbells too. I mean,
Yeah, wipe them down.
yeah, I mean, your hands are, dirtier than just about anything on your body. So you wipe it down after you're done. And whether you leave a puddle of sweat on a bench or you don't feel like you sweat at all, you still wipe it down. It doesn't need to be visible. People around you will see that you do that and they will respect that. And it'll also motivate them, if not guilt them, into doing it too. Because then you don't want to be the person who ain't wiping down the benches.
Right. They also see that. They
Right.
see if you don't wipe it down.
Right.
Even if you're the person that wipes it down before you use the machine, wipe it down after as well.
Right. There's nothing wrong with if you want to just be on the safe side and we'll wipe it down first, because you don't know if somebody wiped it down the last time. But just because you wiped it down in the beginning, it's the same thing as the guy who's leaving the 45s on the leg press. Don't assume that the next person is going to do the same thing as you did.
Right,
So just
right.
always, it's like, your parents always tell you, leave something better than you found it,
Right. Right. Here's my pet peeve one.
Okay.
Ready? Texting while you're sitting on a machine
Yeah.
and you're not working.
Right.
I'm sitting there waiting for that machine, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm being mindful of your time there, and you're having a 20-minute conversation with somebody, texting, and you haven't done another set. That's my thing. If
Well, you know how it is. It's like you get on the phone and you get into a text, and or you get distracted by, because you might be texting one person, then another text comes
Right,
in.
right.
Next thing you know, like 10, 12 minutes have gone by, and so not only is the person screwing themselves in their workout because they're
Completely.
taking an inordinately long time to have a rest period, but they're hogging the machine while you're sitting there waiting, and it is infuriating.
It's infuriating.
As long as we're talking about the phone aspect of things, you got to talk about the social media
The tripods.
So now this is now a thing that we deal with in the gym. If you want to film your set, if you are doing social media and showing people your workouts and whatever, I have nothing against any of that. That's great. If it helps motivate you, if it helps motivate other people, that's fine. It's the logistics of it. It's if you're going to get like a tripod or something like that and set it up, make sure it's out of the way. It's not where people are walking.
Mm-hmm.
And if somebody happens to walk between your camera and you filming, don't go jumping on them, because I've seen that where people get pissed because somebody screwed up their video. This isn't your studio to sit there and if you need that kind of freedom, you need to go somewhere else, or you need to find a time when there's nobody else there. Just realize that you're not the only one in the gym, and not everyone has to stop what they're doing so that you can show your set on Instagram. One of the biggest things that drives my business is the fact that, because I go to people's homes and train them in private, a lot of them have a real issue with being seen at the gym and feeling judged. First of all, I think that the majority of people in a gym aren't judging people. I really don't. I understand why people feel that sensitivity, and they feel like they stick out, because you'll see people who are in fantastic shape and they look great, and they've got the whole outfit on and they're killing it and everything. And it's tough.
But those people have their insecurities too.
Right. Trust me. I've been in bodybuilding competition state the day of a show and still could sit there and tell you 20 things that I think are wrong with me. And I really truly believe, and I find this especially with bodybuilders and the people who are the most in shape, they tend to be the ones who have the most respect for people who are in there,
Absolutely.
still on their journey and still working on it, because those people could be sitting at home and they're not. They got in the car or on their bike or walked or whatever they did and came to the gym. They walked in those doors and they're there. Whatever it is they're doing, they at least made the effort. They're there. They're walking on the treadmill. They're trying to do something.
They're bettering themselves every day. I think that's great.
I can't think of, any times in the recent, I mean, like I said, I haven't been in the gym in a while, but even, in the last 10 years, I can't think of any times I've heard people, saying something about someone else, behind their back, or,
No.
snickering or anything like that. I just don't see that.
They don't do that.
And I also don't hear it like in conversations with other people out in the world. I have plenty of friends who are at gyms and work out and stuff like that. None of them ever have anything negative to say about it. I think everyone I know at least has the same mentality of like, hey, if you're at the gym, good for you.
Good for you. Yeah.
So if you're someone who's self-conscious about it, I get it. I understand. We all carry that in our head. I will always be self-conscious to some end. There's always a bigger fish that's going to look better than you, or have some trait or aspect about him that you wish you had or something like that. I understand that. I get it. But just don't let it be an overwhelming force that keeps you from being there. If you go to the gym, be proud that you're there, because other people appreciate the fact that you're there too. And if you don't go work out at a gym, be proud of yourself for what you're doing at home, or however it is you get your exercise. I, of course, have been who else but Tommy else.
And I am Andrea Trippi, and until the next time, here's to a healthier, more confident you.
The Trippi Coaching Podcast is produced and mixed by me. Who else but Tommy else? Theme song provided by Professor Click. Be sure to check him out at ProfessorClick.com. All one word, KLIQ.com. The content provided in the Trippi Coaching Podcast is for informational purposes only and is not intended as a substitute for professional, medical, health, wellness advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Be sure to like, rate, and review the show, and you may hear your review read on a future episode. And follow the Trippi Coaching Podcast on Facebook for exclusive content.